Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over our next winter storm for portions of the northern plains. We're going to be going over how much snowfall you guys should be expecting, as well as when that snowfall will be occurring. We're going to be going over my personal snowfall forecast at the very end of the video, so make sure you are staying tuned all the way until the end. This is a major event for mid-October. Again, it's only the 16th, and this will be going over the next 48 hours, and we're already seeing some areas that could potentially see up to 4 to 6 inches of snowfall in parts of North Dakota and Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and also portions of the UP of Michigan. So we're going to be going over again that snowfall forecast at the end of the video. We'll look at the European and GFS model as well to see how they handle this event. Now, let's get right into it with the current National Weather Service page. You can see it's packed from west to east. Let's start off on the west coast. We have red flag warnings in effect for parts of Northern California as well as a small area of western or actually Southern California. We also see for Western California we have some heat advisories, as well as just inland of there we have some air quality alerts. We have we actually have wind advisories for parts of Washington, Idaho, and also another area in southeastern Idaho. We have some red flag warnings for northern and central Colorado, as well as some air quality alerts just to the east of there. We have some high wind warnings in effect for parts of southeastern Wyoming, as well as parts of central Montana. Winter weather advisories are up for parts of Montana right around the Continental Divide, and then we have another area of winter weather advisories for portions of eastern Montana, northern North Dakota, and northern Minnesota. Because of that system that we're going to talk about in today's video, we have frost advisories in effect in that medium shade of blue that goes from parts of Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, down through Kentucky, Tennessee, even a little bit of Mississippi and Alabama there, and then down through Virginia and North Carolina. We also see another area for parts of western upstate New York. We have some freeze warnings actually in effect for parts of western North Carolina, especially in those higher elevation regions. And then we have some freeze watches in effect for parts of Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky, even a little bit of North Carolina and Virginia there. And then we have it also for western Maryland. So quite a lot going on in terms of your watches and warnings. Let's start talking about that snowstorm for parts of the northern plains. We're going to time it out with the European model, 3-hour increments, and then we'll look at the GFS model, which goes through 6-hour increments, and then we'll look at how much snowfall both of those models output, and then we'll again look at my personal snowfall forecast at the end of the video. So here would be by tonight, and this is practically as when I'm recording, and this is a fairly good depiction of what it currently looks like on the radar. And we're looking at some snowfall that's setting up for portions of Montana into southern Canada, as well as another area of some general snow showers and snow flurries for parts of northern Wisconsin and the western UP of Michigan. That's mainly just some lake effect snow from the lakes up in parts of Canada and also off Lake Superior. So we are seeing a little bit of lake effect there, but nothing that's going to be too substantial. Here's our system back in Montana and again southwestern Canada, and let's start moving forward with this model. So you can see this system really does progress as we get into later on tonight, and then as we're getting into tomorrow morning, and we're looking at that 32-degree line anywhere in this blue. So this blue line is indicating where you have 32-degree Fahrenheit temperatures or lower. That's your freezing line. So even though many of these areas in North Dakota and Montana are not inside that freezing line, they are above 32 degrees, it's still only 33 or 34 degrees on the surface. You can still support snowfall with that, even if you have some even if you have some temperatures above 32 degrees. If the atmosphere above your heads are cooler or are cool enough and below freezing, you can definitely see quite a bit of snowfall actually accumulate on those grassy surfaces. Most likely it's not going to accumulate too much on the roadways just because it is a little bit too warm. Now, here would be by Saturday morning, and we're looking at this system really breaking off from the second system, which I don't know if I'll make a video on. Depends on how major this system gets out in western Montana and Wyoming, and that system breaks apart from this one that is going to be what we're really talking about in today's video. So these two are going to separate, and we're going to start to see this one really start to wind up and really start to intensify quite a bit. Now here would be by later in the morning on Saturday, you're starting to wake up by this point, and we're looking at that snowfall piling into parts of North Dakota. And what really surprised me was how far south most of these models bring the snow, all the way down into southern and central Minnesota. There, you're seeing some snowfall, and then as we get into Saturday, right around, I would say, your late morning time, as you're getting to the noon time, and we're looking at that snowfall now crossing the Minnesota-Wisconsin border, and it's now over western Wisconsin, central and northern Minnesota, as well as eastern North Dakota. We see that other system out to the west, and you're going to start to see that approach further to the south and to the east. But that is actually going to help move this along a little bit faster. So that's actually going to help propel the system out and further to the east and to the north. Now, here would be by Saturday. I would say this would be right around 10 a.m. or so, and we're looking at some snowfall, and that would be in Central Time. We're looking at some snowfall really piling into parts of North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and now starting to get into the UP of Michigan. It's kind of an arch shape with the snowfall pattern that we have for this storm. And what you would usually consider these storms, they would usually be called a Alberta Clipper, or some sort of storm that dips from usually Alberta, Canada, British Columbia, anywhere really in that western region of Canada, and then comes back down into Montana and the Dakotas, and then brings some snowfall to those regions. Of course, in the wintertime, this would pretty much be an all snow event, but just because it is October, we're still seeing a little bit of mixing and rain. Usually these clipper systems can bring down quite a bit of cold air, and usually they are very cold core systems, so they usually bring down quite a bit of cold air behind it, and we're definitely seeing that. Look at that freezing line. It's getting fairly far to the south, and that's going to continue to push along, and this would be right around when you're starting to see your peak daytime hours. Now, here would be by Saturday. I would say this would be right around 1 p.m. or so Central Time, and we're looking at that snowfall moving over northern Minnesota, getting out of eastern North Dakota, and really you're starting to see quite a bit of mixing actually. Unless you get a little bit further inland, that's where you start to get into that all snow or at least some wintry mix. We even see some rainfall on the southern edge of this, and also to the areas closer to the Great Lakes. Here would be by, I would say this would be right around, probably right around 4 p.m. Central Time, and we're looking at quite a bit of mixing up for northern Minnesota. And then as we progress this forward, you really start to see that snow is starting to exit out of parts of Minnesota, and it's starting to move into parts of Canada. And then this is just the kind of final wrapping moments of this storm. Now, here's what the European model puts out in terms of snowfall totals, and we're looking at some isolated areas that could get maybe 3 to 6 inches of snowfall. I know I was looking at some of the localized National Weather Service offices and what they were showing in terms of this snowfall event, and there was actually a couple National Weather Service offices in North Dakota and northern Minnesota that were indicating some stripes of maybe 4 to 6 inches of snowfall, and I think that might actually be possible. I do think that there are going to be a couple stripes of heavier snowfall, especially in parts of North Dakota and northern Minnesota, as well as the areas around Lake Superior, because you could get a little bit of lake effect enhancement out of this. Now, here would be the GFS model, and let's start talking about what it's showing for this storm. Now, this would be by later tonight, and this would be right around, I would say, 7 p.m. tonight Central Time, and we are looking at some scattered snow showers and flurries going through parts of, actually I'll use a larger font there. We see some scattered snow showers and flurries coming off the Great Lakes, but that's not going to be our main event. This would be again right around 7 p.m. tonight Central Time, and we're looking at some snowfall now starting to enter North Dakota. And if we actually play this through a little bit more, here would be by right around 1 a.m. Central Time. Here would be by I would say 7 a.m. Central Time. So many of you guys are waking up by this point, and you're most likely going to be seeing some snowfall if you live in eastern North Dakota, northern Wisconsin, or northern Minnesota, where we're looking at some heavy snowfall in some scenarios. And I do think you will see some little pockets where you could get some elevated snowfall rates, and you could see snowfall rates that are approaching maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch per hour. So definitely you could see some higher snowfall amounts per hour. Here would be by this would be right around 11 a.m. if I'm not mistaken, Central Time, and we're looking at the heaviest snowfall for interior northern Wisconsin and the interior UP of Michigan, and we're looking at that really heavy snowfall. Some of that is also lake effect enhancement, where you can actually see in the middle of a storm some lake effect snowfall actually help enhance the snow. And if you look at the wind barbs, you're seeing that the wind is actually coming out of the north, so that is going to help the lakes actually generate some snowfall, and that could help generate some more rain or snow depending on your temperature at that point. So we will most likely see some lake effect enhancement out of that, and that's why you see over northern Minnesota where the winds are blowing actually away from there, so they're blowing onshore. You're not seeing too much, but as you get onto parts of the UP of Michigan and Wisconsin where the winds are actually blowing onshore, you're seeing some more a heavier snowfall, and you're seeing heavier snowfall because you're actually getting some lake effect bands mixed in there. Now here would be by Saturday, this would be right around 7 p.m. at night. We're looking at most of this transitioning over to rainfall on the back side of this, and only some scattered snowfall showers on the western and northern side of the storm by the time that this is all wrapping up. And then here are the final frames. You're starting to see some cold air move behind this cold front, which is right around here, and that's why you're seeing some snow showers pop up for parts of the UP of Michigan and also for southern Canada there. So here's how much snowfall the GFS puts out, and I think this is a little bit underestimated just because of how much snowfall it was producing in those heavy bands. I think those will stay over some areas, and you'll see that reflected in my snowfall forecast. So here's my snowfall forecast, and we're going to be looking at from today all the way until the 18th. So this would be going from basically today until Sunday early in the morning is when it really should be wrapping up. We're looking at mountain snow further to the west over parts of Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming, as well as the Black Hills of western South Dakota there, where you could see some elevated snowfall. We're going to now start looking at some coating of snowfall. This is your first layer, your coating of snowfall over parts of Montana, North Dakota, even a little bit of South Dakota, because I do think you will get some mixing in there and potentially a light dusting before it switches over to rain. Central and northern Minnesota, as well as northern Wisconsin, all of the UP of Michigan, and also a little bit of the northern lower peninsula of Michigan. Now, 1 to 3 inches over this band from parts of Montana, eastern, I would say pretty much the northern half of North Dakota, as well as northern Minnesota and parts of northern Wisconsin and the western UP of Michigan. I'm looking at 1 to 3 inches of snowfall there, and even 3 to 6 inches where I think a little band of snowfall, and that little band is going to be definitely fluctuating within the models. They're going to move north, south, east, west, so that is going to move around a little bit, but generally somewhere over eastern and central North Dakota, I think there will be a little band of maybe 3 or 4 inches of snowfall. And then again, that lake effect enhancement right around Lake Superior, I think you could get maybe 4-5 inches of snowfall. Not saying that all of that is going to accumulate. Some of that will be switched over to rain, and that'll definitely help melt some of that snowfall, but I do think maybe you can squeeze out 3 and maybe even 4 or 5 inches of snowfall there. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.